Planet Zoo 2 is already shaping up to be a huge step forward compared to the original game. Better looking animals, better looking graphics, better light distribution, and of course a bunch of fantastic new building tools that don't seem to get as much attention as they deserve. Everything seems to revolve around those amazing new animals, and don't get me wrong, I love them, but let's be honest, who cares about animals in a zoo simulator game? Well, I do, kinda, but you might already know by now, I tend to focus on other aspects of these games.
This is also the reason why Leader is single.
So today, I want to go through my 5 most wanted building tools that I'd love to see in the sequel to our beloved game. This wishlist comes from my experience with architecture modeling and rendering software such as SketchUp, Rhino and Twinmotion, which I've been using for years now. And while things like Loft, Follow Me or even custom base shape drawing would be amazing additions to Planet Zoo, well, I'm trying to keep this list somewhat realistic, so I have to hold back, at least in some ways. So instead of going full sicko mode, I have focused on tools that feel simple enough to actually have a chance of making it into the game. Quick disclaimer before we start. No AI was used in the creation of this video. All icons you will see on your screens today were drawn by me in AutoCAD for the immaculate precision and then edited in Photoshop as my Illustrator license expired, and well, I use Photoshop more often, so it makes sense for me to have a license for Photoshop. Well, anyway, the overall appearance and visual style of those icons was very loosely inspired by a very interesting article on Behance by Sebastian Hickey, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, where he breaks down his process of designing Planet Zoo's game UI, so if you want to check out more, link will be in the description. But okay, let's cut the introduction here, cause it's getting quite long, and start going through the list, shall we? And the first item on our list is blocks or components. It really depends on the software you are using. So, what is a block, Leader, you might ask me? Well, I will try to give you the simplest explanation I can think of, and to me, block is a group of objects that can be duplicated, and the geometry in those groups is linked. So if you change a thing in one of those blocks, it changes in the same way in the others. Let me give you a little example here with visuals. So you are trying to make a little rope fence, and you are decided that the thing between the posts will be the North African rope. But you are not decided on how you want the posts to look like. So you create a prototype, group it, then block it, and then duplicate it. And once time comes and you are not happy with how those posts correspond with other buildings in the zoo section, you grab the post that is blocked, you change a part of it, for example, move the rope coil higher, and it automatically changes in all other posts which were blocked. So it's a perfect solution or a perfect building tool for all players like me who are never 100% decided on what they want to do. I think it would also encourage other players to try and experiment with their Planet Zoo areas, because instead of replacing every single pole by hand, just one click and you are good to go, the whole area is changed. So I think it's just a life changer, that's what it is. Enough blocking, it's time for mirroring. And I think mirror function speaks for itself. You pick a group or an object and click mirror, and it mirrors to the other side, and it's symmetrical. And it seems like such a simple function, yet we don't have it in Planet Zoo. How I wish we did. I had so many attempts at trying to build a tropical house or like a big glass structure, and it never came to fruition, only because I didn't want to make the same thing twice. And those buildings were similar. So if I had the mirror function, I would just build one side, then click the mirror function and have the whole building finished basically. So in that regard, the mirroring function is such quality of life upgrade, if you ask me. But not only that, mirroring function would also allow you to make more unique textures. So for example, let's talk about Valby for a moment. I don't know if you know, but I've been building those Dutch buildings lately, and parts of the buildings are actually made out of those planks. I use the Indonesian plank, and in the current form, the Indonesian plank has 2 different patterns. So it's the same on the both sides, but you can have the base pattern and then you can turn it upside down to get a new pattern. And imagine if we had a mirror function. You could mirror both of those patterns and get two more unique patterns, so you can make your wooden walls more unique and realistic, basically. Because if you were to ask me what makes a building realistic, I would say the difference in colors between the same elements and the difference in patterns in those elements, because that's how real life works. And that's how realism in Planet Zoo should work as well. Talking about textures, third on the list is Custom Texture Tool, a system that was partially inspired by the system seen in Prehistoric Kingdom. So if you are not familiar with the game, Prehistoric Kingdom basically allows you to put different textures on some basic shapes like walls, spheres, cubes, stuff like that. And you can choose from a little set that is given to you by the game's creators and apply brick textures, stone textures, plank textures, whatever, and make your enclosures more unique. But I think as Planet Zoo 2 will be a newer game than Prehistoric Kingdom, we should go one step further and allow players to import their own custom textures into the game, similar how we import custom media and custom audio to our game. Similar to rendering software, you would be able to import not only the texture itself, but also the normal map, the roughness map, the metalness map, all the things that sound scary but are not scary at all. Because if you were to download a custom texture from a dedicated site, it would come with all the maps that I named before, and those maps are nothing scary. Like the normal map is basically a height map for the texture. So when that map is on, the game stops seeing the 2D texture as a 2D object and starts treating it like a 3D object. So for example, your bricks cast shadow and therefore look 3D in your eyes and look more realistic. And why is this feature so important to me? Well, some time ago I wanted to design and build an aquarium for Valby City Zoo that would be done in this amazing typical Danish architectural style. It's like a Renaissance revival sort of thing. And so I started looking at the Planet Zoo wall sets and building sets, and I found out that the classic bricks are too big, the Indonesian bricks have too much of variety in sizes, and they don't look uniform, and building built in 19th century should have its bricks uniform. And when I thought about making custom bricks, then the whole zoo would crash and never open again. So custom textures would come in handy in a moment as such, and would save me a lot of time, my PC a lot of struggles, and be as good looking as the custom built bricks or even better looking. But do you know what would truly save custom building? Precise movement and rotation tool, which I envision to be an extension to an already amazing gizmo tool we have in Planet Zoo 1. And how would that tool work? Well, to me, it would be a very simple process. You just click either on the red, green or blue axis we have on the gizmo, and then type in, for example, 200, as in 200 centimeters, and your object moves 200 centimeters to the right, to the left, or up. Simple as that. And when you are in the rotation gizmo, the thing is very similar. You just click on the blue, green or the right arc and then type in desired angle, like 45, and then your whole building rotates 45 degrees in set direction. Simple as that, and such a life changer as the current system in Planet Zoo of those stepped rotation isn't very precise. If you want to rotate something for 20 degrees or 25 even, so it would be a little quality of life update, and especially for me when I want to do realistic roofs and have their slopes at a set angle. And last but not least is the scatter tool that I found in Twinmotion and fell in love since. So the scatter tool is basically a broader foliage brush. And the process is as simple as selecting a plane which you want to populate with your vegetation, with your foliage, or in Planet Zoo 2's case it will be probably by setting boundaries for the area you want to populate. Then you select the desired foliage, the height, the age of the trees, for example, and then click scatter, and it automatically generates you foliage in that area. I know it's similar to the foliage brush that we will be getting in Planet Zoo 2, but I find foliage brush to be very limiting, at least in Twinmotion, because those things have a set radius, and this radius is never enough for me. It's always too small. And when I want to do this big grand backdrop to one of my renders, to one of my designs, I always use the scatter tool, because you can populate a broader area faster than by painting it with a foliage brush. So it's a little thing for me. I think a thing that would be very easy to implement, but for some people it might be a great option, a great substitute to the foliage brush. That's all. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. If you enjoyed this video format, please let me know down in comments. Maybe comment your favorite feature from this video, or maybe even consider leaving a comment with your most desired, most wanted feature in Planet Zoo 2. And maybe consider liking, maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. It helps a lot. And I will talk to you in the next video. Siema, nara, pa, cześć, elo!